that better? No? Can you hear me now? That's showing green. Yeah, it's showing green. Can you hear me now? Okay. Welcome to the Public Works and Planning Committee meeting for October the 8th, 2024. Thank you all for being here. First, we'll have the roll call.
Commissioner Cush. Commissioner Piercy. Commissioner P.
Here.
Commissioner James. Commissioner Dodd. Commissioner Boyd. Chairman Johnson.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll have the approval of the minutes for August and September, and Commissioner Piercy.
I have reviewed both sets of minutes, found nothing major wrong with them, and I would move for their approval.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for August and September. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No public comments. Move on to solid waste and convenience center report. Matt Davis will be reporting tonight. So Bishop's under the weather. Just praying that he has a quick recovery. Welcome, Matt.
Yeah, Bishop was sorry he couldn't be here tonight, so I'll be reading the report. The county landfill accepted 125.89 tons of brush for revenue of $4,141 in the month of September 2024. We managed 650 tires for a revenue of $1,256. Total revenue was $5,397.
Okay.
The solid waste department disposed of 3,188.17 tons of waste from all sources in September. 2,222.38 tons came from convenience centers, 595.15 tons came from schools, and we recycled 370.64 tons from all sources, which is a diversion rate of 11.63% for September. Bishop had wanted to give you a little bit more about the transfer station tonight, and he's very sorry he couldn't be here. I can assure you that a lot of the smaller deadlines that they have set up are being met. They've delivered a lot of the structural steel is on site now. There's a concrete poured for the scale house and the riser room and the office. And I mean, every couple of days you can look around and see differences of kind of what progress is being made.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve the report. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Wanted to add to this that we have moved forward with the trash hauling contract. We had, I think, 5 changes that we wanted done on that contract, and most of those were met, and we voted to move or to approve that contract. And Commissioner Phillips, could you kind of expound on that? I think you had all of the questions that we had or changes.
I think after the contract was vetted through budget and public works, there were 5 issues that came up through that process. One was a start date. The start date was set back to July 1st, if I'm not mistaken, and there was a caveat that was pointed to that too. If the transfer station is not operational July 1st, it will be moved back until the transfer station is operational. The other thing that we were really interested in was kind of a soft startup. It looks like Waste Management has agreed to that, a 3-month soft startup with at least half of the tonnage reduced at that particular point in time. And that gives us the real opportunity to build our tonnage and to get on strong feet. So we thought that was a really good compromise on their part. Some of the other things dealt with technology, and I believe that came out of this committee, and I think Commissioner P. was instrumental in wanting to discuss that. They put a caveat in there too, or changed the language that related to the contract, especially the transfer of waste. The trucking of the waste could be completely renegotiated or eliminated depending on technology or technical changes in the future, which kind of protects our interest long term. And if I'm not mistaken, those were the big major changes after a lot of discussion and a lot of input from commissioners and others. The purchasing committee made the decision to accept the contract. I believe the vote was 5-2, if I'm not mistaken. So those were kind of the highlights: start date, the start rate, and the soft startup were all negotiated. I think in the mayor's office did a good job, and our county attorney and Michael Smith, our finance director, was instrumentally involved in that process, and they really need to be commended for the work that they did in such a short period of time. So the contract, I'm not sure it's been signed yet, but purchasing committee gave the mayor the authorization to sign with those changes to the contract.
Thank you, Commissioner. And one other thing under that too, different subject, and that's the convenience center in Laverne. As you all know, we're needing to relocate that, and I spoke before the school board last week on this issue, and just trying to get on board with them or include them and be working together. And had two good conversations this week with Mayor Carr, and he's assured me that he's taking the ball on this and going to run with it and get what needs to be done quickly. That he is in the process, or he will reach out to Bishop Wagner and Adam Dodd and get them to work up a proposed site plan. And the mayor said he will follow through with the Rutherford County School staff to move this forward. So that's where we stand with that right now. Next, we have...
Wait.
Sorry.
I've got a question. During one of the purchasing committee meetings that you sat on, you made some concerns about a letter or an email, one concerning the road going into the transfer station. Do you have anything you can share with us about that?
Actually, I think we do under a separate topic tonight, but as it stands under the discussion at this point, we don't.
Thank you.
Greg Brooks is going to talk about it.
And then we'll have the Planning and Engineering Director, Doug DeMasi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doug DeMasi, County Planning Director. First thing on my report tonight is the available lot inventory. You'll see that file. You should be pretty familiar with it at this point. The total available lots as of the end of September of this year is 984. Again, those are the lots that are on the ground ready to be permitted as we speak. That is up fairly about 130 lots or so from last year at this time. I also included in your, or on your iPads, there is a file there, you'll see it's called subdivision chart, I believe, available lot chart, September 2024. And I just wanted to present that to you tonight. This is something that I keep up with every month, just kind of show you what the running total looks like over this last several years. This goes from January 2009, that's when we started tracking everything, and that was kind of an arbitrary date. There wasn't anything magical about that, out through the present. So you can see, during the height of the recession back in January 09, between 09 and 010, you'll see that the highest the lot inventory ever was at was 1,688. And then the lowest it ever got, because you can see it was on a pretty steep downward trajectory at that point, all the way down to between 2016 and 2017, down to 548. And then it's been kind of, as you can see, all over the place ever since then. So it was going up a little bit over the last few months earlier this year, but you can see the last 2 or 3 months, it's been actually kind of on a little bit of a downward trajectory there, down to 984. So I just bring that for you for your information. I can present that as often as you'd like. I thought maybe quarterly would be good rather than every month, but that's something that we do keep up with. We don't have any rezonings this month to present to you before the county commission. You'll see the one application we did have at last month's planning commission was actually voted to be deferred. I know they've had some additional meetings with TDOT, because that property is at the intersection of Highway 99 and Jackson Ridge Road, which is also a state road. So they've had some conversations about that. I believe that the applicant was also under the impression that there might be sanitary sewer heading down that far, which we know of no plans, and the city doesn't know of any plans to extend sewer that far down. So that one's probably going to be in a holding pattern for just a little while. One other thing, and Mr. Chairman, I'll kind of defer to you. This was a report that Chairman Phillips had asked me to bring before you. Do you want me to go ahead and do that, or do you want to vote on the regular report and then do that afterward, or how do you want to handle that?
We probably do them separately.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the report. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you. The last item on my agenda tonight, other than just a couple of quick announcements, you'll see that, again, Chairman Phillips had asked me to present a kind of an overall budget report for the Planning and Engineering Department, kind of looking at our revenue versus expenses since we've had the fee increase last year. Ended up going back about 5 fiscal years just to kind of give you an idea of what the expenses to revenue looked like over the last several years. You can see in fiscal year 19 and 20, I mean, you can see the operating difference that we had there. We had a deficiency of a little over $900,000. Then in 2020 to 21 was $785,000. You'll see that, and I'll just clarify this, the chart, we've got the budgeted expenses, that was what was in the approved budget, then our actual expenses, which you'll see is always less than what we've had budgeted, and then the revenue we got. So the difference is that difference between the actual expenses and the revenue that we received. So you'll see we ran at pretty significant deficiencies through 2023, and then with the fee increase, you'll see in this last full fiscal year, 23 to 24, the one that just finished up, you'll see we did have a surplus at that point of a little over $500,000. So the fee increases did help us become a self-sustaining office. So that was just an overview. Mr. Phillips, is that what you had in mind? Okay, very good. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have on that report.
Any questions?
And if I may just make a couple quick announcements, just a couple of upcoming Plan Rutherford meetings. We do have our next steering committee meeting next week. That's the 16th, I believe that's Wednesday, 2:30, 4 o'clock in room 205 right here in the courthouse. And then we're having our open house on October 24th at the Lane Agri-Park Community Center, and that will be from 5:30 to 7:30 in the evening. And once again, I'll be happy to answer any questions on that.
Doug, I'm sorry, Doug, that meeting at Lang Agricultural, that's the final draft?
That should be the final draft, yes, sir.
Thank you. The timetable would be maybe November
Well,
before the Planning
we've
Commission?
had a little bit of discussion about that. In order to have the public hearings, we have to have at least 30 days' notice. We'll be getting into the holidays. Realistically, we're going to talk in probably January. I'd also think it'd be wise to have when we have it at the Planning Commission, to do it as a special meeting. So rather than have other rezonings or other applications. So we're really wanting to start hitting the public portion of this at the, well, I mean, it's always been the public, but the Planning Commission, County Commission elements start up at the first of the year after the holidays. Okay. Mhm.
Any other questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Doug, congratulations on the surplus this year, close to $600,000. So, but it leads me to one question. At steering last night, HR passed out open position sheet, and I see that for 2024, 2025, there is a position that's called 2658, which is Assistant County Engineer Construction.
Correct.
Can you elaborate a little bit about if that has advertised and what that person's duties might
Yes,
be?
it was advertised. They didn't get any qualified applicants for it. So what they decided to do was to kind of just hold back for a little while and then wait until after the election when things settle down a little bit and then re-advertise it again. But it's a new position. It's not a replacement. So it's an additional position for the engineering department. Helping a lot with the construction plan review and just plat and plan review. I think that's really where a lot of the need is in their engineering side of things, is just, those are very complex, as you know, complex sets of plans, a lot more complex than just the site plans or the just the preliminary plans and final plats we look at. A lot more time and energy devoted to those.
Any more questions?
Right, thank you.
We have the Building Codes Report, Director Tanya Bell. No. I'm sorry, state your name, please. Welcome.
Mark Russell, Assistant Director, Building Codes, filling in for Ms. Bell tonight to give you the monthly report on building codes. For September, single-family dwellings, we issued 118 permits for a cost of $264,867.90. Total number of permits issued, which includes pools, additions, remodels, mechanical, gas, such forth, there were 445 permits. Total fees collected in September, $341,775.60. We had a total of 1,944 building inspections completed and 251 zoning inspections completed. In September, we collected $3,000 of the past development tax. And if you'll notice, the schools facilities tax was greatly increased to $723,226.50, due mostly to the increase coming. A lot of people decided to come in and get their schools facility tax before the increase took place, so you'll see quite a jump there from August to September. And let's see, total for 24-25 years so far on schools facilities tax is $2,160,602, and total development tax is $9,000. Any questions?
No questions.
Does that conclude your report? Does that conclude your report?
Yeah, that's the end.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second to approve the report. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Thank you. And we have the Highway Department, Superintendent Greg Brooks. Welcome. Well, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I really don't believe I have an actual report that came from the board meeting. I don't think there's anything to report. However, I have been asked to come and discuss the possibility of the highway department doing part of the work for the landfill road modifications. So that's what I'm here tonight. I think there's been a little bit of, well, I know it was brought up at purchasing on September 10th, that the highway department had been asked to look at it, that I had been asked to look at it. I have done that. I do believe that we could potentially, and we being the Public Works Department, go out there and make the necessary improvements to that portion of road that in question, to be able to support, have the bearing capacity and the vertical and horizontal alignment to support the traffic that will be coming out there. So we're looking at that currently, and there's really there's a lot going on, as you all know, with Republic and the county. But the highway department would not be able to, or the Public Works Department would not be able to do the work in the state right-of-way, the turn lanes that are going to be associated with this build. That's state right-of-way, and we cannot, by state law, put our people out there. So there would still have to be a bid taken for that section. But we've had some meetings. I've been at some meetings with the county mayor. SEC was there, and we've had a little back and forth about how the best way to proceed. But I have no doubt that we, the Highway Department, Public Works Department, can bring this in on time and under budget.
Any questions? Mr. Cush.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. So would you, if you undertook this landfill road part, would you then be acting as the contractor? Would you then need to sub to a geotechnical and get all our underground information, or do we have underground information already?
I think that, yes, I think that discovery's already been done.
Okay.
And that information already exists.
Okay, so you would just...
I don't anticipate having to have a subcontractor.
All right, so you're doing 100% of the work. Okay, fantastic.
Anyone else?
Do you really think this will warrant a turning lane more than what's already there?
On Jefferson Pike?
Yes.
Well,
The reason I asked, the landfill below it has very little of a turning lane, has a little off piece, but that's all.
right. Well, I think that kind of falls under our, more under our engineering department to do a warrant analysis of what that would and should look like out there. I've seen turn lanes for what I believe would probably be less traffic come through. So I would defer to those who do those kind of traffic studies and warrant analysis to determine that, and if so, what that should look like.
Has the mayor or solid waste department or SEC given you some kind of a timeline where they would like for that portion of the project to start?
That portion being?
What might be your portion?
Well,
the road portion?
I am working under the assumption of a July
2025
opening or, operational date.
Okay.
I'm trying to work toward that.
All right. So that being the case, you would try and be doing something Q4 of this year?
Potentially.
Okay.
Potentially. That'll be, that there's a lot of variables, of course, the weather, and then any conflicts that need to be worked through would need to be taken care of.
Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a portion of that road that is on county property, and he can begin work on that immediately. The other portion that goes through Republic property is in legal conversation right now, and we hope to have something resolved on that before the end of the year. But Greg is capable of performing work on the piece of property that road sits on, that's county property. He can start work on that right now. He may have to go through purchasing to get approval to do that. I'm not sure.
I really don't believe so. I've had some conversations with Michael Smith, and the funds already exist because of the bond. So I really don't believe that would be necessary, nor does Michael. Or the last time I spoke with him, he did not think so. You know, the funds exist. They've already been approved, so.
Mr. Cush.
Greg, this is an undertaking that is above and beyond the normal scope, at least in my opinion, of a road superintendent and their highway department.
I agree.
Above and beyond. So that being said, do you anticipate a negative effect on your workload, on your workforce as the winter approaches, salting, springtime, paving, pothole? Is this going to be a huge distraction for your everyday maintenance?
I do not believe that it will be something that we can't overcome. It'll take some time. You know, when we could potentially be a little behind on a few things, but I don't think it's something we can't overcome. You know, if we look back at historically when we made the modifications for the roads around the school out in Christiana, the Plainview project, that was 8 miles of road improvement. That set us back. You know, we did get a little behind, but I think we've recovered pretty well from that, and I think this project, while it's critical for the county, it's not as big as some we've done in the past. But you know, I do believe that we can save the county taxpayers millions of dollars, and I think if we feel like we can do that, and we feel like we can, I think that's our responsibility to do that. That's my sole reason for being up here.
Well, I personally want to thank you, and I want everybody to understand that this is a extra project that his department should this get signed in ink and they do this. This is not their scope of work. This is not what a highway superintendent or a public works department normally does. So Greg and his team is taking on yet an additional beast above and beyond their workload. So I want to pat you on the back, your team on the back, and I just want all the constituents and all the voters to know that you and your group are doing something above and beyond the general scope of what a highway department does.
I appreciate your acknowledgement of that. However, it is partly my responsibility to keep just like it's yours and all of you, to keep our taxes as low as we possibly can. You know, I don't want to get off in the weeds, but you know, we have seniors on fixed income. We have young people that are trying to figure out how in the world they're ever going to afford a house in this market. So it's our responsibility to keep costs as low as we can, and that's what we're trying to do. And that's why, you know, I'm here tonight, because I feel like there has been some conversation at some other committees about this, about the highway department doing this work. So I'm here to try to maybe head off some rumors. But the reason I haven't done that already is because I really don't want the credit for it. I have good people around me, or I wouldn't even attempt this. But I do have a great staff, and I believe we can pull it off.
Any other questions? Greg, I really appreciate you doing this too. It is a large undertaking compared to your everyday thing that y'all do, but you're highly capable of doing it. I know that, and I applaud you for stepping forward and potentially saving the county taxpayers, me included, just millions of dollars. I mean, that's important, and this is part of what we've all been saying is we've got to work together, and this is proof that you're willing to step out there and work with us and for all of us. I really appreciate it. So any other questions? Mr. Piercy, did that answer your question that you had asked? I'm sorry. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Okay, other business. November, we have election, and the election commission normally uses this room and for their business to handle the election. And of course, we would normally meet in room 205, but it falls on the same night. And they've requested the use of room 205 also this year because of the growth and all of the heavy workload that they do. So hopefully we can accommodate them, and looks like the only, well, what we really need to do is move our next month's meeting, November meeting, to Wednesday the 6th, if you all approve. If you don't, we can discuss some other date.
I'd make a motion to move to the 6th, isn't it? Wednesday the 6th.
6th. Still checking calendars. Okay, everybody's nodding yes or thumbs up, so our November meeting will be Wednesday, November the 6th. Is there any other business? We stand adjourned.